Hey everyone, Tim here from Snap Attack. Let's dig into this week's threat snapshot. We're going to be focusing on a cluster of activity from a Chinese threat actor. Goes by many names. This threat intelligence report is going to refer to them as Mustang Panda. And they're using a very interesting medium. Normally when you think about initial access vectors, you're thinking about compromising an external facing website or, phishing with macro enabled documents or other sort of things. And they're using malicious USB drives, which again is one of those very interesting techniques. This isn't necessarily new or novel. I think one of the earlier indications of this being a very successful attack vector goes back to around 2008. If anyone remembers Agent BTZ, when that affected the DoD and Pentagon, that was again the largest leak of classified information data, and that was able to be traced back to a malicious USB drive that got plugged into a computer. So very interesting attack vector. This is still alive and well, and it's something that a lot of organizations don't have good defenses for or haven't really considered as strongly as other threat vectors, again, just because of its prevalence. So wanted to take a look at this. This threat intelligence report is dating back to late last year. There's been related campaigns from this actor, maybe dating back to 2021, even 2020. The attack path is pretty interesting. So there is a social engineering element to this because you're going to have to plug that flash drive in, and it's not going to auto launch. So the user is going to have to click on something. A lot of times they are using a normally named signed binary. So we've seen Symantec, Adobe Updater, Google Update, and they're using a technique called DLL sideloading that again has been around for a while. Not really anything interesting, new or novel, but what is interesting is how they're using and abusing that to evade defenses. So by using a legitimate signed binary and by using this DLL sideloading technique, they're able to get around a lot of traditional defenses that antivirus and EDRs would normally, this is where you would have the strongest defenses because, again, the binary is signed, so it's somewhat trusted. DLL loading, again, we're talking about, side loading or search order hijacking. So Symantec.exe in this example chain is going to be looking for the shell sel.ocx file. So it's going to look in a couple of places, and if it doesn't fall back to it eventually, it's going to load the one that is in the current working directory, which in this case has been planted with a malicious loader. That loader's job right now is going to be to decrypt and execute the command and control. In this case, it's a Korplug or PlugX backdoor, and that's going to then be used by the threat actor for the campaign. So in this instance, what they were doing is staging data on the flash drive and exfiltrating that to Google Update. So you can see some of the timeline here. Again, lots of different variations across this signed binary path. I think this signed binary and malicious DLL sideloading is probably another interesting vector. I know we've talked about LOL drivers, living off the land tools and scripts, bring your own vulnerable drivers and things. I think bring your own vulnerable signed binary is a new one that is going to get some interest here. So if you haven't heard that before, keep that in mind because I think this is going to be a commonly used attack vector. So lots of examples here that they have seen. Again, you can see all of this here. Definitely recommend checking this out. In Snap Attack fashion, we wanted to actually see what this looks like. So a lot of these samples, they're going to be missing pieces. We did find most of the key files for this GDU2 example, so that's the one that we're going to emulate. And again, this threat is being tracked by multiple organizations. So Trend Micro, this report was from earlier this week. They're tracking this threat actor as Preta, and again, they are seeing very similar techniques with again, they have some others here. Traditionally, you have like the malicious document and the spear phishing, but they also do have the USB drive vectors in here. We've got Checkpoint Research. This one came out very recently too. They're tracking this as Camaro Dragon, but again, the interesting piece is again using those flash drives. And also, again, very similar, exploit path and technique here where they're, masquerading as a legitimate tool. So this is Kaspersky. You have that Symantec, and they're loading a file. staging that data to a command and control server. So again, it's a very interesting chain that is something that we can replicate. So in SnapAttack, we have a couple of threats emulating the different pieces. The first one is, again, what's going to happen early on. So you plug that USB drive into your computer and you're going to launch this. So from that original threat intel report, we're looking at that GDU2 example. We'll note that some of these hashes, we didn't have, again, any of the malware repositories, VirusTotal, Malware Bazaar, all of those didn't have these. So we're a little bit blind here, but we are able to see what that kind of, initial access looks like. So if I back this video up, you can see we've got this thumb drive. It's, E. We're just going to double click this CEF sub. And again, we're missing the stage 2, so it is going to pull the loader and it's going to do that DLL hijacking. But again, we don't have the stage 2 implant that was used here in the rest of this. So at least this piece of the kill chain we can see, definitely detection opportunities for that. Again, just kind of seeing what this would look like on a process graph. Anytime you launch an executable from, like double clicking from a thumb drive, you're still going to see Explorer as the parent. Again, if you wanted to create a hunt rule to see anytime a user is launching a program from a thumb drive, again, looking to see if C Explorer was the parent and D, E, or a non-C drive is going to be what is launched. So that's an interesting opportunity for a hunt query if you wanted to look, kind of more broadly and see what sort of activity you have there in your network. We can see here with that image loading event what that, side loading looks like. And again, we have that CEF sub exe loading this CEF browser. So again, another possible hunt opportunity is looking for, again, where is this DLL being loaded from? Instead of being from, system 32 or one of the other places where DLLs commonly are, maybe alongside the program and program files, it's being loaded from a thumb drive. That could be an interesting, again, vector, assuming it isn't actually some sort of software that's installed on the thumb drive and being used in that way. Think about like portable tools or other, examples like that. So again, how would I detect this? How would I hunt for this? There are some various detection strategies here. So one of the ways that we can do this is looking for a lot of the signed binaries that they're bringing and seeing if they're being launched, particularly not from the, base C drive. So we can see that E sub example here. Again, you could see lots of other examples here. This could be continually maintained and added, and pretty effective way at hunting. Again, there's a lot of binaries here, so this would be good for looking at past examples, but would have to be maintained if you're going to want to keep updating and protect it against variations of the threat. You could also look at the suspicious DLL load, like I mentioned. So again, that image loading from a weird directory. This detection could be improved a little bit more just to say, anything that's not being loaded from the C drive. And that could also be a very good threat hunting strategy as well. We talk a lot about kind of, clustering activity together. So it's interesting when this is, launched and that DLL sideloading, but what if we are also communicating to Google Drive? That could be another piece of this. So we emulated just that part of the technique and that part of the kill chain. So again, we have a USB drive. Again, keeping with the file names, we have that cache exe. This one here is going to copy a couple of files that we have over to Google Drive. You could see that open up. And we wanted to see what sort of activity that we have here. And one of the best opportunities for detection around this, we think, is going to be looking at either network activity or DNS activity. And, for like a sysmon examples, the DNS logs, we can see here that we have an image, ecache.exe, that's reaching out to, again, Google APIs. We'll see OAuth.2 for Google. Not quite as clear that this is being uploaded to Google Drive from the domain names, but that's just how Google operates. The interesting thing here is that this is from a process that is located on a drive that's not C. Again, so thinking about the thumb drive, you could, again, manipulate and improve this detection too if you wanted to say it's not, by using Google Update or Google Tool or other things like that. But this would be a very interesting vector for the way to detect the later stages of this attack. So that definitely is a detection opportunity. Other ways that you can, see if you're affected by this sort of threat. Lots of these threat intelligence articles have IOCs. That original one we talked about, Hitching a Ride with Mustang Panda, they had 169 included here, so we do have IOCs attached to this, and with our IOC Hunter, you can one-click search for the IOCs in your environment to see if there's any affected domains, IPs, hashes, and things like that. This is a very interesting threat and threat vector, so we have created a collection around this USB malware campaign, and we'll be continually adding to that. So you can see, again, related intelligence articles, related threats, related detections, and other content around this threat. So that's our threat snapshot for this week. Comment below the video, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.